皆さんこんにちは。今回は WBO 世界ライト級王者のクリス・アルジェリ氏とCompuBoxに携わるダン・カノビオ氏が運営する YouTube チャンネルインサイドボクシングライブで井上尚弥 vs キム・イェジュンの試合の感想、そしてこれからの井上選手の動向について話していたので、その内容を翻訳しました。それでは見ていきましょ
う。Let's talk about Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue blast out you.
The monster.
Joon Kim, 4 rounds. Kim's final words, final movements were, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. I'm eating, I'm on the canvas. My face is dead.
Yep.
That was nuts.
That was nuts. I mean, it was kind of what was expected. How'd you do betting wise? Did you bet?
Didn't bet this one. There were the odds were horrible. But
yeah, but you could do over under. But that was probably the only smart bet.
I think was the over on 4?
I think it was 4. I think it was 4.5, or maybe it was 3.5. It might have been 3.5.
オーバーアンダーとは、ブックメーカーが定めた基準ラウンドを上回るか下回るかにかけるものです。この会話では、二人がその基準ラウンドが何だったのかを思い出そうとしています。例えば、基準値が 4.5 の場合、賭けのルールは次のようになります。アンダー 4.5 未満にかけた場合、試合が4ラウンド以内に終了すれば勝ち。オーバー 4.5 超にかけた場合試合が5ラウンド目に入れば勝ち。小数点 .5 が使われる理由は、賭けの結果を明確にするためです。例えば、試合がちょうど4ラウンドで終了した場合、これは 4.5 未満に該当し、アンダーの勝ちとなります。今回のキム・イェジュン vs 井上尚弥の試合は4ラウンドで終了したため、アンダー 4.5 未満にかけた人が的中となります。
Yeah, it might have been. I didn't even bother. I got up at the nick of time and I had it on. This is what I love about Inoue is that this was a replacement fight. This was a 10-day out replacement fight. He was supposed to fight Sam Goodman, and he still delivered a highlight reel knockout.
Yep.
Like still, like the dude waving him on.
He's one of the most consistent performers in the game. Like,
yes.
Listen, you generally when a fight falls through, and then you got a last minute replacement, you're like, shit. You know, with Inoue, you're like, all right, cool. Now we're going to see someone getting like highlight reel knocked out. So like that's exactly what he gets. And
it wasn't even delivers. It wasn't like a like a TKO. It wasn't like this guy just takes some punishment in like the 7th round and
quits.
I'm losing interest and like, all right, I'm about to fall back asleep. 7th round, he stops him and the ref puts him out of his misery. Ref throws corner throws in the towel. But he gets concussive like one punch knockout still, and they're just awesome. And they go viral, and it's why he's so damn popular. Is because his highlights go viral. Why is Tank so popular? Why is Mike Tyson so popular? Why are knockout punchers so popular? Especially in this day and age, where that knockout was on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you name it, within seconds. Because it's 15 seconds, and it's always badass. And I love the guy.
It's always badass. He's badass, and
always
the guy delivers.
Consistent badass.
We say it all the time. He's an entertainer. He understands like that, like how you win matters. He talks about the Japanese fighting spirit. He's a warrior. He wants to show that time and time again. I love that too. And it's not like he's being stupid. Like he's there we get punched and like going tit for tat. He's still doing it behind an excellent jab, and he's a smart boxer. He just has that power, man. He's got that light switch that he can just turn you off at any time.
I learned that you cannot even say like even a slightly bad thing about Naoya Inoue on Twitter, and you will get roasted, or you will get clapped back. It wasn't even crazy what I said. I said the thing about Inoue is he's gonna get hit. He was getting hit flush.
He gets hit,
but that's not a criticism. That's simply an observation. The guy, as far as you want to go back, gets hit with shots because he's willing to stand and trade. That warrior spirit. That remember he said he doesn't like some of the fighters over in the U.S. because they don't take chances. How do you take chances? You take chances by standing in the pocket. And if you're gonna jump in the pool, you're gonna get wet. You're gonna stand in the pocket. You're gonna get hit even by Joon Kim.
In baseball, you're a baseball guy. Home run hitters, they strike out a lot.
Yeah,
because they're taking risks. You're taking risks. Knockout punchers, they get hit. Yeah, it's just part of it. And yeah, he gets hit, but guess what? We want him to get hit. We want to see people get hit. We don't want to see one-sided, thrashings and him just knocking people out like fighting cab drivers. He's fighting good fighters is another thing. So he's going to get hit. Yeah. So, but that's what makes him that entertaining.
Right. I tweeted that out, and a bunch of people quote tweeting it like, Oh, wow.
Look
Boxer
at
gets
this
hit.
jerk.
No. Boxer gets hit. Huge observation, Dan. Oh, look. It's always guys that don't follow me, which makes me feel better. It's always like the people that follow me understand what that means. Like, obviously you're going to get hit in boxing, but when you say, oh, that guy gets hit, that means he's not known as like, he's known as someone that will take a few shots to land a few. Where if you're not like you don't follow, but you're probably not a huge boxing fan, and you're like, why is this guy saying that a boxer got hit? Like, is he expected not to get hit? No, like he's more willing to stand and trade. And I'm just curious what's going to happen when he faces big punchers because, I mean, Neary dropped him.
Yeah,
Neary dropped him. He was a puncher. Like wasn't expecting much from Joon Kim. He did nail him with a few shots, and that's Inoue lunging in. It's Inoue standing in proximity, and taking these shots. I want to talk about what's next for Inoue because Inoue is kind of like the Canelo mold, where his whole year is planned out. He's like a Fortune 500 company.
フォーチュン500の企業とは、アメリカの経済誌、フォーチュンが毎年発表する、アメリカ国内の売上上位500社のことを指します。アップルやアマゾンなどの大企業が選ばれています。この文脈では、井上選手の年間スケジュールが、これらの大企業のように綿密に計画、管理されていることを示しています。
Like his whole year is, he is. This guy is a business. He's an economy in himself, and his whole year is planned out. So Bob Arum, God bless his soul, guy's in freaking Japan, 90 million years old, rolls into the ring, that's what he does, and gets on the mic, and his next fight. So Inoue's next fight is going to be in Las Vegas, and they're looking at David Allen Picasso, not the artist, the boxer. Okay. And then they're looking at a Saudi Arabia fight in late December as part of the Riyadh season against potentially Nick Ball at 126. So you're telling me that Inoue is going to leave 122 pounds without fighting MJ Akhmadaliev and without potentially fighting Junto Nakatani?
I don't like that. I want both those fights. I always wanted the MJ fight. I thought that was a really great fight. Yeah. And then also if he moves up to 26, then that's another weight class away from Nakatani. That's another fight that seems to be out of the discussion as well.
Did you hear what he said about Nakatani? He goes, I haven't been really wowed by anything he's done yet.
Is that the classic talk the guy down? So kind of divert the attention away from Floyd used to do that.
Floyd did that, but he also would say hell of a fighter. He would always hype up his fighters.
But he did that on purpose when he wanted to make a fight. If he wants to fight, if you want to fight, you talk the guy up. So if you don't want to fight, you talk the guy down. This is classic.
Mayweather was the McGregor build-up. Was talking. That. He made McGregor out to be Muhammad Ali, and like gave the fight some credence, which you're supposed to do. Inoue says that Nakatani's got nothing for me. Nakatani's not even in the same weight class right now.
この井上選手の中谷には特に感じるものはないという発言については確認できませんが、今月24日にザリングに掲載されたインタビューでは次のように語っています。僕にとってはそもそも気にすることでもなかったし、意識することもなかった。だってまだ階級が違うからね。もちろん将来的に可能性のある試合ではあるけど、今はお互いに目の前の目標があって、それに集中している段階だよ。そして井上選手はこう強調しました。僕は今年誰と戦うのか、すでに決まっている。中谷選手はまだ階級を上げてもいないんだから、今この段階で彼の名前を挙げる理由はないよ。
He's at 118, Inoue's at 122 with eyes on 126. The MJ Akhmadaliev saga is not going anywhere. Our guy Eddie Hearn went absolutely ballistic in Vegas, because Eddie always has a camera in front of him. It's the beauty of that guy is never stopping. And he says, why should Inoue get to duck his mandatory 3 times? His resume is pretty shit. Inoue is very disappointing as a champion. Inoue, time to be taken out of the pound-for-pound list. Obviously,
really going hard for his guy.
Obviously, that's frustration because if you've been following the saga with Akhmadaliev, he was the WBA mandatory. He fights Topalis, loses to Topalis. People forget that. Loses to Topalis. Topalis goes on to give Inoue some tough rounds. MJ Akhmadaliev has to go back to the end of the line. Akhmadaliev has 2 decent wins, like safe fights. Just to keep that Inoue ticket, that lottery ticket. Inoue goes on to not fight him. He passed him over. I get both sides. I do want to see that fight, though, Chris.
I do too. I've always wanted that fight. I think the scrappiness that MJ brings to the table. He's a very tight, compact little guy, but he's super efficient. I'd like to see what would happen if he gets on the inside with Inoue, and if he can take the power. Of course, that's the thing about Inoue. I think it's a great fight. I think it's an entertaining fight. MJ generally makes entertaining fights as well. So you got two guys who can entertain, and I don't think MJ beats Inoue, but I think it's fun while it lasts.
No, he doesn't beat him, but he gives him issues. Inoue's outstanding. We just talked about how awesome he is. But listen, the guy does get hit. He's going to get hit in this fight, and Akhmadaliev can crack. It's just interesting to see because I just don't see it in the plans because I don't see the Akhmadaliev fight as the one that's happening next in Vegas. Very excited that Inoue's coming to the States. Akhmadaliev, it's not going to be that. Like I see that as a Saudi fight. I see this potentially as a Tokyo fight. So Picasso gets the fight in May or whatever, June, in Vegas, and then they're already talking about Inoue going to Riyadh. If he sticks at 122, then yes, Akhmadaliev will definitely get that shot in December. If he goes to 126, which we've been talking about for a while, it's a whole new ball game for Inoue. This is like a whole new discussion. And Nick Ball waiting for him there, not exactly the first name I wanted to see at featherweight.
No,
but like we're looking at a whole different part of Inoue's career, Chris. Like the second half, he might not be as dominant. We're going to see what he's really made of. He's going to potentially get into he really is an all-time great. But like, what stratosphere would he be in if he just starts handling featherweights?
Dude, featherweight. That's when the guys start getting big. That's a big jump. The 22 to 26 jump is a major one in the sport. Featherweights it's funny. Featherweights is where like the West starts paying attention. Like, okay, yeah, there's weight classes under featherweight. No, there's not.
Right,
126.
a little bit bigger.
Yeah, that's where you start paying attention. And the reason for that is because the guys are bigger. They hit hard. It's going to be interesting. You get guys who are 6 feet tall like we do now at featherweight. You've got
Espinosa,
and even Ray Vargas was another guy, super tall for the weight class. You're not getting those at 22. So it's going to be interesting to see how he deals with the physicality of those guys. Again, you mentioned he got dropped by Neri at 122. He's not the same guy in terms of his size in the ring anymore, obviously, at 26. So interesting matchups there. And again, Ronnie, like you said, Ronnie Rios is not the one that they love him over there. The Riyadh guys, the Saudi loves.
You're talking about Nick Ball, right?
I'm Nick Ball. Sorry, I don't know. Because they just fought each other.
Short. You're thinking of a short, bruising fighter.
Yeah. I like Nick Ball too. He's fun. I don't know. I don't see him at that level.
I think Inoue beats him.
Yeah.
Obviously, but like
it actually probably is a good entry for him into 126 because he's got a lot of holes to be able to drop that power.
But like Inoue going to 126 at the end of the year, leaving Japan. Like this was his last fight in Japan this year, which is, it does kind of make me up. Like as much as I want to see him in the U.S., it's like, oh man, his fans at home are not going to see him on that stage anymore. And then he's leaving the 2 fights behind, or 1 fight that we really want to see behind. That's the Nakatani one. And then he's going up to 126 where he might, not be as dominant. That's the nature of the game. You have to face the best. He is 30. It's not, towards the end of his career, but he's definitely in the second half. It's
amazing how he's carried his power, though. He's still knocking guys out. I wonder if he still has that at 26. So we talk about these guys. Earlier we were talking about longevity. I mentioned Bernard Hopkins. Floyd Mayweather's another guy for over a long time. The power changed. Even Manny Pacquiao, the power changed. As he started moving up. And in a way, that hasn't been the case yet. So it's 26 when we actually have to see him box for 12 rounds. It's an interesting time. An interesting time in his career trajectory.
Yeah, we're going to see what this guy really is at featherweight. If this is the plan, because he could just stay at 122 after the Picasso fight, maybe Nakatani, maybe fight Akhmadaliev. Let's go to the fights that we saw on Saturday. Main event from Las Vegas at the Cosmopolitan. Saw Diego Pacheco go the distance with a very tough, very game Steven Nelson.